Hello everyone and welcome back. So I've heard a lot of you guys want me to talk about the 1940s to the now modern day times. So I'll be talking about the corporate issues and ads of how the market works, stock markets, all that fun jazz. So this will be split up probably to 7 or 8 episodes dealing with each year from the 1940s to the 2020s. With all the companies like Coca-Cola, cigarette companies, and Disney. Let's finally get into this. So, with the 1940s, many companies from the 1940s took what they knew from the 30s and basically made the same advertisements, but more politically for World War II. Like the ones that I found for U.S. employment, it says, "Miles of hell to Tokyo, work where you're needed." Even Coca-Cola ads were political. Many companies took all of these ads and basically do what they are doing now, trying to sell people products. But they found an opportunity and took it with World War II, the main crisis that was going on in the U.S. They took the idea of everyone going out and fighting in the war and making it an open opportunity for them. Coca-Cola took advantage of this by saying in some of their ads, you know what a man wants when he comes home from the war? A nice cold Coca-Cola. Found cookie companies saying that, oh, go send off our cookies, they'll make a soldier die for. Well, not figuratively, they're so good. And for the stock market side, the 1930s was pretty iffy. There was a dip in the stock market. I was looking around graphs. There was a dip in 1932. But when it gets close to the 1940s, 1941, where the World War II happens, it starts on the graph, there's really high spike up from 1941, where there's a 2-year jump from 44 to 46. And that means companies took advantage of that time of Americans going to war and us fighting against Japan and Germany and Italy and Russia, or we now know it as Russia, but back then it was Soviet Union. Companies took advantage of this kind of midlife crisis and help their companies out and help the government out. By helping the government out is by having many people talk about hey, dude, you know these savings bonds? Yeah, we should get some because you know why? Well, they're helping your son go off to fight for us. They're helping us. And it helped the companies and the government side of the war out. And so, yeah. And with them taking that opportunity, use World War II as an advantage way more than World War I. For Coke's advertisements, I'm using Coke a lot because, they advertised mostly in 1932. Well, not 1932, but the 1930s, 40s, 50s. They advertised all the way up till 1970s. That's when they slowly started dying out because they knew that if they get enough advertisement, everyone will know their name. And so they heavily marketed in with the war efforts and say, oh, your husband will come home to a nice cold Coca-Cola, and them advertising and pressing the idea that if you get a Coke, your husband's going to love it, your children are going to love it, you're going to love it, everyone's going to love it, the soldiers will love it. When they go off to battle, they will drink it every day. They implant that idea of, hey, if you buy our stuff, it will make you the happiest people in the world. They will implant that in your mind. And that's what they basically did, was they implanted in everyone's minds, hey, if you do this, you will help out in the war. You can play a part in this. Even if you're not a white male, then you can play a part in this. If you're female, you can make stuff that can I don't know how to put it. like, they use not manipulation, but they use smart marketing techniques. So then you can, like, if I tried selling you something, I would make it seem so interesting, like the best thing in the world. They use techniques and marketing traits to make you think that you need to get it now, or else you're not going to be helpful, or else you're going to be supporting Hitler and the Nazis. You're going to be supporting Japan bombing us. You'll be supporting the Axis powers. They, like, kind of implant it in your mind that if you don't do this, then you might as well be a traitor. It's marketing techniques like that really get into people's heads, and they really think, oh, wait, we need to get this now. It's kind of like how now, like in the modern day times of flash sales of, you need to get this now or else you'll never get it ever again. They use those marketing techniques of thinking, you need to get this now because you're not going to get it later. And they implant that in your mind, so then you have to buy it. So then you know that you're helping out in the war. You are helping out. Even though if you can't fight, you're still helping out if you buy a Coke, if you get some cookies, if you go out and buy a car, share a car with other people. That means you're not riding with Hitler. You're riding with other people. You're not supporting the Nazis. You're supporting the U.S. They use these techniques to make sure that you're getting supported and they're not. In one ad I found, as I quote, "Chocolate is a fighting food." That's from Nestle, and they have a picture of a soldier holding a Nestle chocolate bar. With another one, it's a Coke commercial. Most of them are Coke commercials. Thirst stops here. The pause that refreshing, and it shows another soldier holding out a cup of Coca-Cola, a nice cold drink. They also had a lot of cigarette ads. They didn't really care that children will see this. They have a lot of cigarette ads. They also had some ads for, like, women and saying, like, hey, you need to get your man a nice Coca-Cola or a nice beer, something that will please him. Because back in the 1940s, they were pretty sexist and racist, because in that time period, it was natural. And with that being natural, you're like, oh, like, nowadays, that will make a woman upset. But, like, back then, it was totally natural for a girl to do all the chores, to, like, wait until they're a little bit older to get married. They have to do everything for their man to make them happy. Back then, it wasn't natural for a girl to go out and fight for the army. Another commercial is for Spam. It says, Grace, if all you relatives dropped in for dinner, what would you say? Spam. It's one of those earlier ads for food, and it was targeting women because the women were the cook people in the house at the time. They had to do all the chores for themselves. They fed their men, they had them go to work, they kissed them goodbye, they would rub their feet, they would ask them, oh, what's bothering you, honey? Is something wrong? Because I feel like something is wrong. And she'll never, ever be like, I had a really hard day. Can you cook dinner tonight? They never expected that. No matter what, the women would always cook the food and do whatever they needed. So everything was targeted to them. Barely anything was targeted to the men. The only things that were targeted to the guys were the World War II posters and saying, we need you. You need to join us so we can take down Hitler. We can take down the Nazis. We can take down the Japanese. We can take down anybody. We need your help because they bombed us. And so that was the only thing targeted to men. Everything else was targeted to women, saying, oh, what do you need? Well, I guess I need this, this, and this. Well, look at these magazines. This is targeted to women. They'll like it. Another propaganda poster that also helped with the war fronts was War Gardens for Victory. Grow vitamins at your kitchen door. That was also targeted to women since it had a lady holding a bunch of fruits and vegetables and what you can grow in a garden in her hand. All of this is targeted to women unless it has, like, one of it is put into national war bonds. That's targeted mostly to men because men made all the money back then. Everything was targeted to certain people. And almost all the ads well, all the ads that I saw or could find at least are targeted to white men, because at the time colored people weren't really respected at all. They were people were still pretty racist to them. They weren't respected, especially in the South. And so they weren't put in any ads. They weren't even targeted. They weren't a target demographic. And mostly it was white women that was targeted in all of these ads. Or white men. But most of the time the white men would go out and fight in the war and help out with that. But all these ads are targeted to white women. Okay, so thanks for listening to me kind of ramble on. If you want to hear the rest of this series, then the link is below. My sites are below, like always. It's going to be after every single episode. And so, yeah, hope you have a great, fabulous, wonderful day. And bye-bye.